Okay, my name is Jeff Anderson, and we are in our law offices in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's approximately 3 p.m. Central Time on September 8th. And right here to my right is Pete Neels, and to his right is his brother, David. And I am deeply honored to be here with both of you young men today. Both of you are survivors, and both David and Pete are survivors of abuse by a serial predator whose name is David Hanser. David Hanser was a priest of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and beginning as early as the 1960s began to abuse youth in his charge. And he did abuse repeatedly both of these young men, then children. And to our knowledge, he has abused in the past dozens of kids. And recently, we and David and Pete learned that the Archdiocese of Milwaukee has fraudulently concealed their knowledge of Hanser's abuse of the youth. This morning, Pete and David filed this lawsuit in the Milwaukee Circuit Court, and it is a lawsuit against the Archdiocese of Milwaukee for fraud, for deceit, for deception, because if the officials, the bishops and all the bishops' men in Milwaukee, had told the parents and the public that they knew that Hanser was a child molester back in the 70s when they learned it, Pete and Dave never would have been or could have been abused. But they were abused, and they were abused repeatedly by Hanser, beginning in 1982 and continuing through, in at least one of their cases, 1988. And so we are very grateful to you, Pete, and very grateful to you, David, for filing this case, for having the courage to speak up, and now the courage to speak out. And so I'd like to hear from you, Pete.
Hold on. Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
My name's Peter Neels. This is a picture of me when I was 13, 14 years old. I'm just coming forward today because I'm tired of this happening. Hopefully can stop it from happening to other people. And having big organizations get away with it so easily.
I'm David Neels, and this is a photograph of me around the time of the beginning of the abuse. And like Pete said, we're coming forward because we want to try to help other people understand that it happened. We want to see it stopped. Again, we recently found out that that it was concealed, that it was known that he had been an abuser, and it's time that we came forward and actually put our faces out there to try to help other people and try to make it, take the stigma out of it, because it did happen, and it's happened to good people.
David, how old were you when Hanser first began to lay his hands on you, and how did you come to know him as your priest?
First he was the parish priest at St. Mary's in Pewaukee, and I was 12 years old, which is about the time of this photograph, and his service continued through the mid-'80s, and it continued to happen through the mid-'80s.
And Dave, how old are you now?
I'm 40 years old now.
And so this began to happen to you almost 30 years ago. Why now? What is it that has happened recently that's caused you to now take this action and to file this case here today?
First, if we could help other people by doing this, it's the most important thing to us. And the question also assumes that we hadn't spoken about it before, but we had, and things were stopped because of statutes of limitations, which is the crazy law in Wisconsin that doesn't allow a victim to, come forth after a certain number of years. But we've since found out through your law firm that there was prior knowledge that the Archdiocese had prior knowledge of abuse from Hanser, and it's allowed us now to move forward when we thought we could not before.
And Dave, did you learn from us and myself and Mike Finnegan that in the 1970s that abuse by this man, David Hanser, then Father Hanser, had abused at least one other kid, and that kid had reported it to Father Sippel, Sippel, who was then a pastor at St. Mary's in Elm Grove, Wisconsin, and that Father Sippel and the Archdiocese failed to do anything that would protect other kids from this. And is that information that you just
Yes,
received?
we had no prior knowledge of it. And you and Mike have found that for us. We, as I said before, we did tried to say something before back in 2002. We brought it to the Archdiocese attention. We brought it to the sheriff's attention in Waukesha County and spoke with them. In which case, we got calls back saying it cannot go anywhere.
And when you brought it to the Archdiocese attention in 2002, what did the representatives of the Archdiocese tell you, or how did they respond to you?
They said to call Project Benjamin, and that really got us nowhere. And at that time, the SNAP organization in Milwaukee, we got involved with both Peter Isley and Mark Salmon, who I think we need to publicly thank for all of the help that they've really guided us and helped us over the past 6-7 years. At least not to, because there was talk that there were going to be, they were going to try to make concessions that were, pretty basically phony, and we didn't want any part of that. So the SNAP organization helped us quite a bit, at least have someone to go to talk about it, to know that we weren't alone. And it's what we're trying to do here also today.